All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And, you know, we used to say that we laughed at comedians and listened to politicians, but now we listen to comedians and we laugh at politicians, but rappers ultimately get the final say on culturally what's cool in America, all right? Especially in politics. And it's been cruising around Twitter and also been blowing up our DM feeds and, you know, people asking us about the MC Jin music video that's kind of an homage to Andrew Yang and a big fat diss track on the DNC establishment, as well as the other candidates on the stage, and
some more than others.
Yeah, some more than others, and my favoritely, all the moderators that are all gassed up. So we're actually going to dive into who's MC Jin and also what is this music video and kind of deconstruct it for you here, giving the much deeper implications as put forth by our friend MC Jin over there. So Cody, just tell us what's going on, man.
All right, cool. Well, basically, I mean, MC Jin is a rapper. We'll go into people who don't know as much about him. To be frank, I've heard about him, but I didn't know how long he'd been around for. I thought that was really interesting. Anyway, he put out a video. I'm going to play a little bit right now. You can hear it and see it.
All right.
It's a little bit here. It's interesting. Now, the one thing I love about it, I love he chose the beat to the song. It's the beat of Shook Ones by Mobb Deep. That's how you pronounce that. Very good song. It's really cool. I love the editing with the different candidates reacting. That's a great part about it. Now, pull down. Anyway, so that's the video that came out. We're going to go back over some of the parts we like in particular.
Should it be going on in the background and we're like bobbing our heads as we're talking? Like, just like, kind of like the cool, like, director's cut?
You know what's better? Hold on. You know, speaking of some of the highlights of it, I guess we can do that. That's personally, it's one of my favorite parts coming up right here. I love. So let's listen.
The future's now. Sound the alarm. Who's next to get laid off? Can't get a job because of automation. Need a basic income. I did get cut off by all four you chumps. The UBI guy, not him again.
I did get cut off by all four of you chumps, which is a reference to, I believe, in the second debate. At the second debate, there was a moment where Andrew Yang was actually asked a question directly. So, Andrew. Yeah. And then Elizabeth Warren, they just answers the question. And they're like, oh, no. We asked, like, oh, I thought you were asking me. They're like, no, we said Andrew Yang. And there's another instance earlier where Andrew Yang was giving, and he's like, they're going to Yang, they're throwing to him, his mic's on, and Pete Buttigieg just starts talking instead. So yeah. I believe that was the reference there. That's why I thought that was funny. I believe this is mostly in reference to the last couple debates.
Maybe? Well, they've all been cut off. I think it goes beyond just from the debates. Like, there was the infamous time where maybe not on the debate stage, Bernie Sanders didn't cut him off, but you remember when, for example, CNN was interviewing Andrew Yang about like his policies and was going in depth into a substantive argument, and they said, oh, wait, no, Bernie Sanders is going to say something at a rally, so we're going to cut to the Bernie Sanders rally.
I think it was MSNBC.
Was that MSNBC?
One of those two, one of them.
Yeah, so anyway, I think if you actually went down the line, you could see an instance where all of them cut him off, including Cory Booker in that infamous time where literally he was getting interviewed after the first debate.
First or second debate, yeah.
Yeah, the first or second debate, and Cory Booker shimmies into talking with the reporter, like, oh, well, now while I'm here, I might as well take over your interview. You know?
I think one of the reasons why we like this video so much and why it resonates so much, because a lot of these lines you can pick out and be like, yeah, I know what he's talking about there. It's kind of makes it so funny. There's another couple ones I'm going to see if I can play for. The other big one I want to highlight, and it's just personally because it makes me laugh, is when he comes after Kamala Harris. I believe it's right here.
Oh, this is glorious.
Kamala wants reform, but look, she claims ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. It's a war, but no need to be shook.
Short, sweet. The reason why, hold on.
But there's deeper implications here, man. You deconstructed this, bro, and you recognize something I didn't recognize.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reference to the line when he's saying that Kamala doesn't believe there's any halfway. It's a reference. It's the chorus or the hook of the song the beat's from the Mobb Deep song. That's the hook of the song. So that's where that line comes from.
Can you play the original, or would we get copyright struck?
We definitely will then.
Yeah.
Okay. But what is really interesting about that, and the reason why he brought it up, and it's something that we pulled up, Tulsi Gabbard famously kind of ended Kamala's campaign in the second debate when she came at her on her record. But this is one of my favorite parts of it, which is where Kamala goes in the Breakfast Club and she's smoking weed and listening. Oh yeah, you know me. At one point, they
acting
ask
like she's one of the.
Yeah, well, they ask her. She's like, "Oh, my family's half Jamaican." Ha ha. And it's like, okay, well, when you were the prosecutor, again, it's her job. It's not personal. This is from uprocks.com. Let's see. From 2011 to 2016, Kamala sent at least 1,560 people to prison for marijuana-related offenses.
Jeez.
However, due to overcrowding in California prisons, innumerable nonviolent offenders were instead sent to county jails and are not accounted for in the total number of incarcerated. Which, yeah, probably 80% of the cases she went there, which means that it's a very low estimate. At the same time she was prosecuting these offenses, Harris said in 11 and reiterated in 14, during her re-election bid, that she was supportive of medical marijuana, but nothing beyond that, and she even declined to join other states demanding that the Drug Enforcement Administration remove marijuana from its list of dangerous controlled substances. I think a crazier thing to point out, actually, just from where we are 5 years later, in 2014, she ran in her re-election on being against recreational marijuana, and 4 years later, it's just reality. Really interesting what actually happened with her and when she was running. Maybe it doesn't actually highlight that maybe she doesn't have the greatest foresight or maybe the best pulse of the people. If 4 years later, what she ran against is just reality in the state now. However, I thought that was funny. Like I said, I thought it was cute that he brought the line in from the actual song. And then
but I liked it when he can you hit the Bernie Sanders line and the moderator's line?
The moderator's line, I'm not quite sure. Bernie Sanders again.
Yeah, hit that. That one was glorious. I thought it was so funny.
Burned you embarrassed? Every other sentence seems incoherent. Cause you lost to Hillary, well it's apparent. We all know Hillary had a real good marriage.
I like when he brings the fact that he lost to Hillary. It's like, that's a good point. Like, you lost to Hillary, dude.
Oh, dude.
You're going to win now? You couldn't win then. So that's
what
great.
makes you think you can beat the guy that beat the person you lost to?
Yeah, well,
like in betting odds, that's just horrible.
I mean, but
I mean, come on. If you were playing a basketball, if this were March Madness, and you said, "Look, Team A lost to Team B,
throw it out.
And Team B lost to Team C,"
don't matter.
Do you think Team A could beat Team C? Nobody would bet on that.
Yes, they do. They do actually all the time, and I would.
Okay. Sure.
Upsets happen routinely in March Madness. Routinely. It's a part of March Madness is upsets. So you bet in upsets.
Okay, well, that is true. And that's why March Madness in many ways is better than professional sports. Because there's that
pseudoscience you described is what everyone hates about.
Pseudoscience?
It's literally pseudoscience. People, it ruins for a lot of people. It wasn't until 3 years ago they changed how college football worked. In college football, the number one
with
team
the rankings?
and the number two team were picked to play, and then they added more, like you won championship games for your conference, and they made it a little bit easier. But still, depending on your ranking, you'd be in. And a lot of the rankings is, well, they were supposed to win by 20, but they won by 17, and this team was supposed to win by 30, and they won by 50, and they played them, and it's like, okay, but that doesn't account for Team A played Team B, but for whatever reason, the guy in Team B who normally sucks played really good that game. No, he probably won't ever again, but he did really good that one time. I'm just saying.
Okay, fair enough.
You can't do.
I reject the notion that it was pseudoscientific, though, because
it is literally pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience means that you're passing it off as science when it is not. And yes. I never said that I was passing it off as science. I just said I wouldn't bet on it.
Okay, but you're using
fantasy football is not real football. It's fantasy football
and a science that is flawed.
All right, dog.
It's false.
All right, dog.
It's false
I'm
science.
I'm gonna start jamming on your stuff as pseudoscientific too. You know that?
I'm just saying. The only reason why I say that is because I follow college sports, and everyone complains because it's literally
okay. So look, let's move on to.
Hold on, I want to highlight one last thing before we get to the end. I'm a big fan of this in general. Shout outs to the acapella ending, by the way.
Oh yes.
Cut the beat, I go acapella. I don't wear a tie cause we are not the same. Word to my tailor. Just take a good look at the pose if you doubt me. I know a lot of doctors and I like math, I say it proudly. As for this debate, y'all already know who won. I'm outie. Make sure you log on to yang2020.com to learn more about me.
Rock on.
I'm always a big fan of that. It's really tough to do. So shout out to me. He's a really talented guy. Again, just to make sure.
That's the only line I didn't like was a shout out to my tailor. It was the only line I didn't like for some reason.
That was weird. I don't know
Acapella and Taylor. I wasn't jiving with that one, but let me tell you, I dug the.
Hold on, just really quickly. For those of you who aren't exactly familiar, MC Jin is a 37-year-old Asian rapper, I believe. I'm not sure where he was born from because I know he spent time in Hong Kong and the United States, kind of bounced back and forth.
Well, no, he was born. It says he was born in Miami. Yeah, born in Miami, Florida.
Miami, and he bounced back and forth. I think he lived in Hong Kong for a while. Anyway,
but he didn't return until he was summer of 2012. Yeah. So he spent the majority of his youth in Asia.
I believe so.
As an American, that's kind of cool.
I thought it was cool. This seemed weird to me when we both read it, but he was the first Asian American solo rapper to be signed to a major record label. It seemed like really, maybe it was, but still, it's crazy if that happened like 5 or 6 years ago. Big weird.
The Wu-Tang Clan was. Didn't they? The Wu-Tang Clan, they were like all part Asians, right? A bunch of them?
Wu-Tang Clan was Asian.
Well, no, like
They liked kung fu movies. But
No, there
I don't
was-
think they're Asian. I don't think Ghostface Killah was Asian.
Wait, but I remember in Dave Chappelle's racial draft,
That was the
didn't
joke.
He,
That was the joke. Was that Wu-Tang Clan was drafted by the Asians because they just like kung fu movies. That was like literally the joke.
oh my gosh! Oh, it wasn't because they were like Tiger Woods. Because like Tiger Woods says he's like Cablinasian because he's like Caucasian, black, and Asian, or like
Yeah, I
whatever.
believe Tiger Woods is legitimately. Either way.
Anyway,
either
whatever.
way, yes,
We're all mixes nowadays.
Wu-Tang Clan is not actually Asian.
Did I totally demonstrate some wild cultural ignorance here because I watched the Dave Chappelle show?
It was a weird. I was really confused where you were coming from. That I'm like, I know they're called the Wu-Tang Clan, but they're not actually Asian. They're from. I forget where they're from.
Yeah, screw
somewhere on the
23
East
and me
Coast.
if you watch Dave Chappelle's racial draft in the early 2000s. You know, that's
They never.
that's better.
They even mentioned in the skit that this is unprecedented. I don't think any of them are 1% Asian. They didn't mention that in the bit.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
but I did think it was interesting that it did feel like one of those things I figured in the 80s or 90s there probably was someone, but really cool. So shout out to him for that. That's a really what I want to highlight. The main thing, what I want to highlight on this, because I know it was a lot of fun. We were kind of joking around and stuff like this. However, the thing I think is really cool is that, and he actually did another song based on a Wu-Tang Clan song as well. He posted on Twitter called "Enter the Drew Yang 36 Chambers" instead of "Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers." That's really cool. It's tough to say because I don't follow every campaign super closely. I mean, we mostly cover Andrew's campaign, not everyone else's.
Yeah.
I just don't see anything like this anywhere else. I don't see viral videos that are pretty well thought out rap songs. That one was actually a play on both the 8 Mile freestyle at the end of the 8 Mile film and the Mobb Deep song at the same time. It's really interesting. It's fun, it's inventive, it's lighthearted, and it, like you said, he kind of like digs at some of the candidates. Some Joe Biden didn't say anything about. Kamala was pretty fair criticism. He kind of just doesn't mention a lot of people. But it really is cool to see because we just don't see it coming from other parts, and we're gonna find out in 12, 14 months what it all means, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen a political campaign with this level of like. I'm not talking about Katy Perry making a song for
the Hillary or the Obama campaign.
yeah, but just the idea of like these like big artists that probably are. I would be surprised if it's all just out of the goodness of their hearts. Probably some money changing hands. But we see a lot of people for Andrew Yang that they just like him and they want to
Yeah.
do stuff to support him. I could pull up like really quickly. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I'm really quickly going to highlight a couple things on Twitter that came up in the last like 2 or 3 days. This kid, I love this stuff. Carden can't see my screen. You have to watch the video.
Yeah.
He made a video, and I don't know how he did it. He edited it to make it look like it's him at a party, and like so the camera's like zooming in and out, and there's
Okay.
like people in the background kind of moving back and forth. It's really fun and creative. I love
Okay.
that one. And then this was really cool. We're gonna do a separate video on this, but there was
Yeah.
a dude who went out Southwest Florida, and he brought out a giant. Not giant, but I think it's a TV or a monitor, and he's carrying it, and it's got clips of Andrew Yang playing while he's telling people out in public, like a restaurant, about Andrew Yang. He's telling them about like, oh, so he's about. Have you heard of him? And he's just holding a big like screen with like clips playing of Andrew to kind of attract people. I mean,
Oh, that's
amazing
epic.
stuff. But I mean, from stuff like this to fun little rap songs that have some pretty clever, crafty lyrics and a lot of cool stuff going on, we're seeing a lot of just. The groundswell grassroots is there. Now, everything else is a question mark, but we just always like to take time to highlight what you guys are doing out there. From like the MC Jins of the world, like I said, he's not maybe Beyonce, but he still has been a hip-hop artist for like 20 years. He's famous on multiple continents across the globe. Pretty popular guy, all the way down to just people who normally would never do something like this ever, just taking it upon themselves to do it. It's really, really fascinating to watch.
Rock on. I agree. So anyway, we didn't get to the line where he said all the moderators were gassed up. That was my favorite.
I have the text of it. I just don't remember when he actually says it. But what he says is, "These moderators got you all gassed up. Won't even let me talk. Scared I'll catch up." I believe referencing the polls. I wish I could have remembered what was in the video. I forgot when they actually said it. But yeah.
By the way, I already completely swung and missed on the Wu-Tang Clan. What's gassed up? You already enlightened me onto the joke I didn't get in Dave Chappelle's racial draft. What's gassed up mean? Is there like a slang reference to gassed up other than just like
like gassed, like they got you like fired up,
yeah,
riled up.
So there's no like other double entendre that I don't understand, right?
Oh, there very well could be. I'm just not aware of it. If there
Okay,
is.
cool. Rock on.
Perhaps.
Rock
I don't
on.
know.
I'm always on shady water talking about hip hop. You're so much better at it than me, man. So anyway, let us know what you guys think. What's the impact of this? How far it goes? Comment below. If you haven't liked the video, like it. If you haven't shared, share it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. This is Problem Solver Politics. We'll see you guys in the next video.